What's up, everybody? We're at episode 3 of Marketing Mandem.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
Nathan. I'm here with
Ryan?
yes,
And Chris.
absolutely. And today's topic is actually advertising. So to start off here, just to discuss what we're actually talking about, can one of you guys describe the differences between marketing and advertising?
Yeah, I can give you a gist of it. So marketing is essentially identifying a need for a customer and figuring out ways to fulfill that need, whereas advertising is promoting your product or service through any type of paid channel. So advertising is a subset of marketing. So if you've ever had a marketing or business course in school, you might have heard of the 5 Ps, price, product, place, promotion, and people. So advertising is the promotion piece.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. All right, so for the first subtopic here, let's go with how important is advertising to your small business, large business, anything?
So I'd say advertising it's obviously really important, but I think a lot of businesses get it wrong, especially small businesses, because they're not clear about the goal. So your advertising strategy, your campaign strategy, it's all going to be very dependent on what you're trying to achieve with the particular advertising you're doing. So the biggest mistake I see small businesses make with advertising is that they try to advertise like big businesses. So for example, a small business might see Tim Hortons advertising on the boards at a Leafs game, and they'll say, okay, like we should buy some boards at our local arena or something like that. And Tim Hortons is advertising at a place of just like brand recognition, trying to associate themselves with hockey. They don't necessarily need to be ruthlessly efficient with every dollar they're spending. So they can spend money on something like that just has a general awareness, and you have no idea how well that's performing. Whereas small businesses then go try to do that, or they do billboard or programmatic, and they don't really have like a direct call to action. So they have no way of understanding, is this working? Is this not working? And I feel like that's the biggest challenge in advertising for small businesses, is knowing what advertising channels are going to be effective for your business and what goals you should have tied to specific advertising channels.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would add to that too, when they put that board on the hockey arena, they're reminding you of the previous ad that you saw on like
TV.
Yeah, exactly. The Super Bowl. So like they can afford to just remind you in that case, whereas a small business that you've never heard of, you see just a non-moving, stationary ad. It's not doing anything for you emotionally, so it's not going to stay with you.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things that need to be in place first before advertising can do really well. So you have to, like you said, you have to figure out the right channels to do it on. If you're a small business, you're definitely going to have to do it differently than a large business. But you also have to make sure, I kind of even lost my train of thought here. I don't even know where I was going.
So sorry, you were saying you have to make sure.
Yeah, fuck. Can we cut it?
No, so it's so the biggest thing when you're setting up an advertising campaign, the first thing is kind of the goal, the end goal. So are we trying to generate awareness? Where are people going to go when they see this advertisement? So if you're trying to generate traffic to your local store, that might look like maybe running digital ads with a call to action that's like get directions or an in-store offer. Even if you were running, for example, a print ad, they maybe had a cutout coupon, some way to track some sort of redemptions. There's, famous quotes in marketing communities. It's always like, I know 30% of my advertising is working. I just don't know what 30%. So it's like, you need to understand, the more data you can collect about the efficiency of your advertising, you can allocate more dollars. And when you're a small business, you don't have a big budget. That's when it's super important to understand, okay, this one ad channel is working really well, and I can double down and scale my spend there. Yeah. So that's massively important. I feel like that's what's lost on a lot of small advertisers and small businesses.
Yeah. And kind of to put a period on that point of call to action, I think what's super important in advertising is the fact that you change. When you're not advertising, you're relying on customers that are already at the buying process of knowing they want to buy. When you advertise, you can get them there from a place of not knowing they want to buy. And that could increase your potential customer base by who knows how much, depending on how effective your advertising is.
Yeah, if your advertising is effective, here's the great thing. If you have a fantastic product, if advertising is effective, it's going to expedite your growth. Because if you have a great product, word of mouth is going to spread, and word of mouth is the best free advertising you can get, the best. So if you have a great product and you're throwing gasoline on that fire with good advertising that's on brand, you're rolling.
Yeah.
If you have a bad product, advertising is just going to expedite you finding out that your product sucks.
Yeah. No amount of advertising can fix a bad product.
No, exactly.
Yeah, it's a very good point. All right. So the next topic is what are some things that make advertising effective? And we kind of touched on this, but to bring up an example of the other side here, an example of you have to be wary of which stats you're looking at. So the Taco Bell Chihuahua, do you remember that ad?
Yeah. Where's the beef, right? Or no. Te quiero. Yeah, he said something all the time. Yeah.
I don't remember it exactly, but I do remember the dog. So that was super, super famous, and it garnered a lot of attention. But the problem was that it didn't have a call to action. It didn't make you want to eat tacos. Apparently, because the sales didn't increase like throughout that whole entire ad campaign. The attention was there, but the effectiveness of turning the viewer into a customer wasn't there. So you have to be careful on which stats you're looking at when you have an advertising campaign.
Yeah, I would also say that so people buy off of emotion and they justify with logic. So one of the great campaigns is obviously the Got Milk campaign. You guys are familiar with Got Milk.
Yeah.
So what they did in terms of their in-house staff was they put a camera inside of the fridge, and they filmed footage of people going in there looking for milk for their coffee, for whatever, right? And they didn't have any milk in the fridge, and you just see all the reactions like, oh, God damn it. Everyone was looking for milk. And so they used that concept, and they basically ran a bunch of ads showing how people feel when the milk isn't present. So making you feel an emotional, like, oh yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah, and even exaggerating it to the point where they would make such an emotional decision as to buy. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, in that case, it was the absence of the product that made it so powerful. People didn't think about needing milk until they didn't have milk. It was one of those products. But the best advertising campaigns, like Ryan said, like they make you feel something. Advertising with strictly logic is good for certain types of products, like for example, maybe an information product, but even then you want to trigger people's sense of like missing out, or like this is a really great opportunity. And then once they kind of go through to the next part of the buying journey, then it's great to have all the information and have more of the logical stuff. But the initial appeal has to be emotional. And especially now when we're talking about digital advertising, we're talking about, the TikTok generation, TikTokification of stuff. You have a couple seconds to grab someone's attention. So you need like a strong hook in any of your ads that's going to be something that's going to grab people and captivate them for a few seconds just to give your piece of creative a chance.
Yeah. Nine times out of 10, that's going to be visual, not like you say, logical, like just spouting off a bunch of facts.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the other thing too is this is where like copywriting is worth its weight in gold, because a great like hook line, even if an actor is saying it in the ad or if it's written on the screen quickly, that's something that'll like grab people and they'll be like, oh shit, like what's going on here? We can't help but decipher words. Once you know how to read, you see printed language, you can't help but decipher it, start reading it, right? So if it's something captivating quickly on the screen that can grab you, yeah, we had a lot of success with the coffee business, actually. We ran a Halloween ad that we all made together. Which was great. Yeah. And it was honestly, guys, it was a stupid ad about a guy waking up and fighting like a fucking zombie with a knife.
Kicking me. And
to get his morning coffee. And the ad actually performed extremely well. And it was, the date was at the beginning. It was kind of dramatic at the beginning visually, but the copy in the post was, this ad got banned for being too scary. What do you think? And I had a bunch of people weighing in like, oh, this is actually brilliant. Like, I see what you guys did.
Nice.
And like people laughing about
It's
it.
ironic.
Didn't
but
you have
get
other
to use
people
it.
that are like, wow, how was this too scary? Like some people
Yeah.
actually took it literally.
Well,
Like,
That's
it was
always gonna
the
happen.
Facebook. Yeah, it was definitely like some like 70-year-old guy on Facebook who was like,
Doesn't get sarcasm.
didn't get
Yeah. I
the
wasn't
joke.
scared.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
but that copy is what I think really set it off, like really differentiated that ad as far as performance went, right? Because it just gave them something to like bite into and give the ad a chance. And then once people started watching it, they were intrigued to be like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Just so back to that kind of people buying on emotion piece. So I wanted to just bring up, so think of any cologne ad commercial you've ever seen. Do they list the facts about the cologne or whatever, the perfume?
It's always just
tell you
sex.
what's in it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
some
exactly.
baddie underneath
Desire.
a waterfall or some Chad on a
total,
motorcycle.
Yeah, I was gonna say total Chad. Yeah,
Yeah.
fucking
Exactly. You have no idea what it's gonna smell like, but like you're probably
you know
gonna
who's
buy
wearing
it.
Yeah. Well, apparently wearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That kind of transitions into a question I got for you guys. Off the top of your head, what's an ad campaign that you can think of that's like one of your tops?
Oh fuck, Lincoln, Matthew McConaughey.
Oh,
Honestly,
okay.
I've said this in other shows. Like I'm a big car guy, so like Lincoln to me is like such an old man car, right? Had like no appeal. It still doesn't. Honestly, it still doesn't really have an appeal to me. That's just because of like I'm a big European car guy, but the ad campaign was phenomenal. Like I remember all of those ads, like with the bowl. He's like Osiris, you know. And it was so good, and they just made Lincolns feel really cool and American and classy, and it was good. So that was I think a really good ad campaign for pushing like top line brand, which is what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Brand association, top line brand, big budget type of stuff. So
Yeah, and I'm not a car guy very much, but that's the first time I even thought about Lincoln, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
So
there
it was
you
effective
go.
for me.
Yeah.
Definitely worked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine actually was one I saw recently that I just thought was really clever, and I didn't see it really growing up. Like I saw a lot of the Matthew McConaughey Lincoln ones, but this one was for Saturn. And essentially what they did was when they met with Saturn, they found out. So a lot of a great campaign for advertising is understanding your customer and understanding what their message is, what they want to tell people. So Saturn was all about the people. That was their message. Like, we care about the people.
Gotcha.
So this advertising agency wanted to convey that in a certain way. So what they did was they did an ad without any cars, just people. So like imagine a person backing out of the driveway, like going down the street, like it's just a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And at the end, it's like Saturn. It's like the people that matter.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, especially because that image stays in your mind. Like, I've never seen that before. Like a bunch of people on the street acting as if they're in cars, but not.
Yeah, they're all in traffic, just like a
Yeah.
bunch of people.
That sticks. Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty clever.
Yeah, one of my favorite ad campaigns is you guys must remember when Coke had personalized names
That was
on the Coke,
brilliant. Yeah.
on the Coke bottles. That was just for so many reasons. I mean, like we remember that to this day. It was an event. Like, oh, give me a Coke bottle with my name on it, or like you see it and you want to search the bin for like the girl you just started to date or whatever, like her mom or whatever. And it's like, and for one, like it made you stare at the product. That's one thing. Like just subconsciously, like half of, that's a very arbitrary number, but half of advertising is exposure. Just like making you see it
100%.
over and over and over again. That while you're searching for someone's name, instead of grabbing a Coke and looking at it for 2 seconds, you're looking at it for 2 minutes. And that's like massive exposure on its own exponentially. But also like kind of subconsciously as well, you're looking to give someone else a Coke. So like you associate that with a gift. Like, oh, if I'm going to bring a beverage, I'm going to bring my friend a Coke. So I just thought on so many levels, that was just brilliant.
That's a great one.
Yeah, customization like that is always powerful. That could be like a whole nother episode of like product customization when available. But yeah,
Gotcha.
that was so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of touched on this, but to make it a full subtopic is how is advertising changing? How has it changed in 2022 and like for the past few years, and how is it going to further change into 2023? What do you guys think?
I think advertising and marketing in general is like, the beautiful thing is it's evergreen. The core concepts are human. The context changes. So that's the beautiful thing about advertising is what was a good ad in the 50s is still a good ad now. It just would have to be repurposed for whatever the medium of the time is. So right now we see TikTok ads, Instagram swipe up ads, YouTube short ads, those types of ad products overperforming just based on like how many eyeballs you can get in front of for the dollars, which is kind of how you measure an advertising vehicle, I'd say, is like how many relevant eyeballs can I get in front of for the money I'm spending? And those platforms all give you, a variety of ways to do it. You can do it with pictures. You can, obviously we know video performs the best. So, but I would say advertising as a whole will never, like a good marketing campaign will always be a good marketing campaign. Or advertising campaign, sorry. It's just going to depend on where you're deploying that messaging because humans don't change. It's still emotional and it's still, have a great offer and kind of create some urgency in the person to at least look into what you're doing.
Yeah, I think you're all right on that for sure. You're always still going to have to understand, like if your target market is young kid, like Gen Zs, whatever, you're still going to understand what is best for them, like how you're going to target them specifically. So you're going to have to tailor your marketing towards them. So you just have to understand kind of who you're going after and target your ads in that sense.
Absolutely. And to touch on what you said before, as far as people are spending or giving ads, at least in the space of like, if your demographic is a younger generation, that younger generation is giving ads less of a chance time-wise. So I would say like just into 2023, don't be patient with your impact as far as the ad goes. Like in my mind, the new thumbnail is the 2 or 3 seconds right at the beginning of the video. That's what decides. Obviously, that's what decides what keeps them from swiping up or just exiting out, skipping that YouTube ad. So you have to have that pretty much on the majority of platforms now. You have to have the impact of the ad to make them stay right at the beginning there.
Yeah, the two things like small businesses can do for sure to help protect their ad spend, especially on these platforms when we're talking about testing creative. It's like the nice thing is TikTok's algorithm will pretty much test your creative for you. You can post shit for free, and then based on what works organically, run ads based on that. You can add a call to action card or something at the end, go in the back, just like rework that piece of creative a bit, and it's gonna, if it destroyed organically, it's gonna destroy as an ad. And then on top of that, the other thing you can do is if you're targeting Gen Z, millennials on these platforms, look into working with influencers because those are the people that they're consuming content. So if there's an influencer that you have a product and it fits well, that's a great way to advertise that is talked about a lot, but I still, in some situations, I think it isn't thought about enough. Like Dunkin' Donuts did a fantastic job. They like grabbed Charlie D'Amelio because she was already a Dunkin' Donuts like consumer, like loved Dunkin', and they just made that synergy work. So it was perfect because it was authentic to her brand. It didn't damage Charlie's brand because she genuinely liked going there. And then for Dunkin', it was amazing because they became super relevant and hip to like that generation of people that fucking Charlie D'Amelio's like God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's, if you are targeting that generation, like Gen Z, I'd say, definitely look at like relevant influencers because I feel like that's the best way to get in front of them for potentially the cheapest amount of money.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to going into our fifth topic is advice for small businesses with your advertising budget. Where should you focus? I want to hammer down that point that you have the opportunity to market test with the amount of people that are using these apps like TikTok and YouTube Shorts. And the algorithm right now, as you said, they're willing to push you because they're fighting for that attention from their audience. So they want to push you and figure out, is your content working here? If so, I want to push that content to these people to make them stay. So we're in a neat little bubble right now as far as new attention. And you can use that for your marketing research to, like you said, not make the ad for free. Whatever you spend, maybe you can get creative with your budget and not spend any money like we did with a Halloween ad and get creative there. But as far as market research, that's free. You can just put it out there and then decide, like you said, to hammer down with paid ads. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you're a small business, I'd say, test as much or a creative on organic platforms as possible. Use your phone, use whatever resources you have. If you're paying a creative agency, like let them go wild, because here's the thing, like if your organic content isn't performing, no one's seeing it. So you can't say like, it's damaging my brand. Obviously, don't do anything crazy. But what I'm saying is like, you don't have to be so particular about it, because if it doesn't work, no one's seeing it anyways. So I think it's like a volume game, especially on TikTok, YouTube Shorts. Like Instagram Reels is still not quite there yet. You can go viral, but it doesn't hit the same as like YouTube Shorts and TikTok right now. So test your organic. And then when you're running ads, like really have a plan, have like a campaign idea, have like a concept. And then have a call to action, like what is the goal of this advertisement? And then if you really think it through, then if you're going to have a call to action, like have an offer or have like some way to get them to a mailing list, and then you can market to them for free going forward. So there's a lot of kind of things to unpack on the back end of it. But if we're just talking about advertising, test organic, think of a concept and just test. And when something works, double down on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Makes sense. We got a few extra minutes here, so how about we all just lower our shoulders, settle down. Anything, just running our business, running your businesses outside of this, any content you're finding valuable, any like new epiphanies you've had this week, anything changing the way you operate on a day-to-day basis? How you guys feeling? I'll use my example.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I've been really, really finding value in giving myself a pat on the back for the boring stuff. It was like Alex Hormozy that put me onto this, of course. It's like 90% of my consumption of content. But he said, I'm going to get the quote wrong here, but the ability for people to be successful is their ability to do the boring stuff consistently, is basically at the end of the day. So what I've been doing is like, I use this mental trick sometimes. It's like when I'm in a bad mood and I don't want to do things, I try to frame it differently. I'm like, oh, this is a great opportunity for me to do what I'm supposed to do and prove to myself that it doesn't matter the mood I'm in, I'm going to do it anyway. And that little frame that from Alex has really helped me. So if I'm doing the dirty work on the company and trying to figure out an advertising budget, and it's it's hard at the end of the day to come down to the nitty-gritty numbers, just look at it as something you got to do. It is the boring stuff.
Tune into some hormones. Where do you normally listen to them on?
The podcast, but YouTube's getting the point. The algorithm's getting the point, and they're starting to give me a ton of like podcasts with him from other people. Yeah. Like Bigger Pockets was like the latest one I got suggested. It was pretty good.
Yeah, no, for me, it's really come down to just a simplification of things. Like, so really been focusing on growing e-com right now. So just breaking it down to being like, you have three main variables. You have customers, frequency, and average order value. Those are actually the only three metrics that matter.
Say that again one more time.
Customers, like how many customers you have, frequency of purchases, and average order value. Internally, that's all that matters. Gotcha. And then externally, which kind of ties into ads, is you have cost per customer acquisition, right? So our CAC. The key with that is if you can get your average customer value to be extremely high, let's say you can subscribe someone and they stay on for 24 months and they're going to give you, I don't know, $50 a month. That customer is now worth $1,200. You can now spend, let's say your profit on that, let's say your product is, let's just say a 50% margin for ease of use here. So you're making $600 net on that customer. That means you can spend up to $600 to acquire that customer profitably. And once you frame things like that, it starts to get interesting, right? Now, the key is having that data. Obviously, having how much is each customer worth to me? How long do they stay on for? All these things. You need to kind of have some of that data before you can really start thinking about this. But if you can do that, now you can control a bunch of variables, because you can say, okay, what could I give someone for up to $600 to get them to sign up for my program? Or even better, you can be like, how can I get the guy who's like signed up for 24 months? How can I get him to do 36 months? And you can start playing with all these ideas. So that's just kind of like been a reframe for me in business as a way to think about especially for e-com, like we obviously run a big subscription business. So
Gotcha.
it's just thinking about that right now and reframing kind of how to look at that whole piece of it.
Yeah. I like what you said there, because it's important, like you said, to get the data to like frame the patients. Like if you don't put those numbers out there, like this customer is actually a $1,200 customer, you're going to look at it as I'm paying $600 for $50 a month.
Yeah.
That's harder. Even though if you just extend that to 2 years, it still makes sense. It's hard to make that work in your brain without doing the longevity numbers.
Yeah, you have to do the longevity numbers. Also, you have to think about cash flow, because the other thing is like if you don't have any cash in the bank, you obviously can't spend $600 to get a $50 customer, because like you're gonna go out of business before you fucking get enough.
Yeah, we're talking like into the future of the business.
But yeah, as you're growing, you can start thinking about things that way, and it doesn't always have to. Obviously, you're not gonna spend $600 to get a $50 a month customer, but you could technically spend, up to theoretically, right?
Yeah,
so it's just good to think about your business that way and really understand all the fundamental numbers. Because business comes down to like math and art. There's the math side of it, which is all the numbers, all the kind of nitty gritty, boring shit. And then the art is like the creative, like how can I make an ad that's the emotional, that's going to make people want to click on my shit. So
absolutely. Yeah.
For me, it's been just this whole process. I don't know what it is about these cameras, but fuck, it's a learning experience. And yeah, honestly, it's good. It's just putting yourself out there, getting out of your comfort zone, and knowing that you're going to get better the more you do things. And
absolutely.
So, I'm just trying to read more marketing books. Everything is just kind of centered around that, and just get out and start talking about it. And eventually it'll come, but it's just a process of learning. So
always a process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you want to stop.
Hormozy actually had a good one. It was on the, one of his podcasts was on the dark side of things and what motivates him. And one thing he actually talked about was fucking up on a podcast. And he's like, I didn't want to do it more so to like spread value, whatever. He's like, of course that's good. But he's like, I just thought of me like fucking up, and it just pissed me off. And he's like, that motivated me to like be good and like to work harder kind of thing. So
yeah, you can either take that and go, I'm not cut out for this, or you can just keep hammering, keep going.
Exactly.
But I think that's a good place to end it, boys. So this was episode
3, baby.
Yes, sir.
Marketing Mandems.
Yeah, hope you enjoy, and have a good day.
Ciao. Actually, wait.
What's up?
Guys, like, subscribe, comment, even hate comments, please. Helps the algorithm. Please hate.
Smash that like button!